Hi guys, and what's up? It's Charla from That Girl Cooks Healthy. So today I'm gonna show you how to make this delicious Trinidadian coconut bake. I'm so excited. I cannot wait for you guys to try it. So let's get to it. So these are the ingredients that you're going to need. You're going to need some psyllium husk, some coconut milk. So you want to use coconut milk that is full fat. Don't use the light coconut milk. It has to be full fat coconut milk. Tapioca starch, some millet flour and sorghum flour. Shredded coconut or fresh coconut. I struggle to get fresh coconut at the best of times throughout the year, so I use shredded coconut and just add a small amount of water just to give it a authentic shredded type of fresh coconut texture to it. So if you can get fresh, that's going to taste a million times better, but if not, you can do what I do and get shredded. Some cane sugar, some flaxseed, instant yeast, xanthan gum, baking soda, pink salt, nutmeg, and some melted vegan butter. So we're going to start by mixing together the psyllium husk and some of the coconut milk. You need to use about a third of the coconut milk. And once you pour that into the bowl with the psyllium husk, then you just need to use a fork or a spoon and mix it together. And then when you do that, it's going to start to thicken up and it's going to congeal into a paste. So it will take a few minutes to become a congealed paste. So you can just leave it to, become into a paste, or you can keep mixing it, whichever one you want to do. I usually mix it for a bit and then put it to the side and just allow it to thicken up before I'm ready to use it. The next thing you want to do is mix together the vegan butter with the excess coconut milk, and you just want to just pour those together and just put it to the side, ready to be used when we need it. So the next thing we need to do is take our bowl with our flour blend in, and then we're just going to add all of the dry ingredients, including the coconut, the shredded coconut, the fresh coconut, whichever one you're able to access, and just mix that together. What I normally do at this stage is I do this in my stand mixer, but because I'm video recording it, I want you guys to see how I'm mixing it together. I just feel like the view is better if I just show you in a bowl instead of putting it in the stand mix. So you can do this in the stand mix rather than using a bowl, because you're just going to transfer it in there anyway. Or you can do what I'm doing now and just mix it in a bowl, then transfer it into your stand mix, whichever one you really, whichever one you prefer, and you can just do that. Really doesn't really make a difference. So now that I've added the dry ingredients to my stand mixer, I'm going to start running the mixer. Just start on the low speed and gradually build it up. And I'm going to add, the first thing that I'll add is the psyllium husk paste that I made with the coconut milk. So I add that. Once I add that, then I'm following it up with my coconut milk and the vegan butter mix. When you're adding the coconut milk, you probably won't need to use all of it, so add it in increments or stages. Don't add it all at once. You want to keep an eye on the texture of the dough while you're adding the coconut milk, because if you add it all at once, then you're going to end up with sticky dough, and then you're going to have to rectify it by adding more flour. And some people, this is where they struggle, because the results of the bake will be too dry or it'll be too wet. So it's really important when you're adding the coconut milk to just add it in stages. I've made this so many times now that I know how much coconut milk I need. So for you, please just add it in stages. Just stop and start, and just check the texture. Don't dump it in. If you dump it in, then you're more likely to use too much, because you really probably won't need to use all of the liquid. So my dough should be ready after a few minutes, so I'm just going to stop the machine and just test the dough. The dough should be pliable, like I said, not sticky and not too dense. I'm going to use my finger and just press it, and once I press the dough ball, it should spring back. So if my finger springs back, that means I have the right texture. As I said, you can correct it by adding more coconut milk if it's too dense, or adding more flour, just a tablespoon at a time if it's too sticky. So you can salvage the recipe if you do mess up. So I have some parchment paper set up on the table, and what I'm going to do is just lightly dust the parchment paper with some tapioca starch. You don't need to go crazy, you don't need to add too much, you just want to lightly dust it, because if you had too much of the tapioca starch, then the bake will be too dry or have dry spots, and you don't want that. So once I do that, I'm just going to roll my bake, or should I say the dough, into the shape that I want. I like to make a large coconut bake. Some people make small ones, but I like to do a large one. And I also, the thickness, I like my bake to be quite thick, so mine is roughly about 1 inch in thickness, so it's quite thick. But because I stuff mine with saltfish and stuff like that, then I like mine to be thicker, so it's like a sandwich. So what you want to do is roll your dough into the shape that you want. So, you know, most people just do a circle, and I'm using my hands as well to shape the dough as well, because that makes it easier. And also because the dough is the right texture as well, it's easy to shape it with your hands as well. You don't have to do that, but I just find it really does help, especially if you're a novice as well and you're not very good at rolling dough into a circular shape. Then do what I'm doing, so just use your thumb and just the sides of your hands just to shape it into a circle, and that will be a lot easier and less stressful as well in terms of shaping it. So now I'm using a fork just to prick some holes into the dough, and that just helps to release some of the pressure. You don't need to do too many holes, but just enough so each of the surface has some type of prick. So now I'm going to leave the dough to rest. So I have my baking tray set up with some parchment paper, so I'm just going to transfer the dough onto that baking tray, and once I've done that, I'm just going to wrap it tightly with some saran wrap, or some people call it cling film. It's lightly oiled, the wrap is, and I do that because that will prevent the dough from having any dry spots. And also another thing I like to do as well, I like to leave the dough to rest in a slightly warm place, so near an oven or somewhere that's warm. I just do this because again, it helps with the baking process. But the thing is, the bake will not double in size. In fact, it probably won't have much volume to it. So don't be surprised if you see after about 30 minutes that the bake looks almost the same size, but it needs some time to rest anyway. So just allow that process to happen, and then once you do that, then your bake is ready to be unwrapped and baked in the oven. The time it takes to bake will depend on the thickness. It's usually up to 30 minutes. The thicker the bake, or if it's a small bake, it should be quicker than that. So it will depend on the thickness really. So this is what my coconut bake looks like after it's been baked in the oven. Mine took about 30 minutes to bake, but trust me, the house smells so coconut and smells like fresh bread right now that I could literally eat it straight away. So I like to finish mine by just glazing mine with some vegan butter. You don't have to do that, but I just feel it optimizes the taste and the appearance of the bake. Another thing I should say as well, because this is a gluten-free bake, what you want to do is you want to make it, or should I say bake it, when you're going to use it straight away, because it starts to thicken up and become a little bit dense if you leave it to cool, especially if you leave it overnight. So it's best to serve it straight away. So I cannot emphasize that. That's not to say that it's not food, it's not worthy of eating still, but you'll notice that it will taste more dense if you leave it, especially for the next day. And I would recommend heating it up, just wrap it in some aluminium foil and just let it heat through that way as well, and that will bring back some of the texture. So do keep that in mind. So I'm going to cut into mine now, and I'm going to have mine with some vegetables. So you guys, please try this. Let me know how it goes on, how you get on with it, if you like it. As I said, this is a vegan version. Look how great that looks in the inside. Honestly, I wish I could sell it to you more. You just have to try it for yourself. It's a very simple recipe. I hope for anybody who is from Trinidad and Tobago and is looking for a gluten-free coconut bake, I hope that this is the best that I could do for you guys. So I really hope that you try it. If you're not from Trinidad and Tobago, still try it. You will enjoy it. I love it. We love it here. And serve it warm, please, if you can, and straight away. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you, or should I say speak to you, next time.